What happens the moment after we die? It's a question that's fascinated and maybe even scared people for, well, forever. But in the Islamic tradition, this isn't some big unanswerable mystery. There's actually a detailed roadmap for the soul's journey into an intermediate realm, a place called Barzakh. And it's a journey with vastly different paths, all decided by the life we chose to live.
I'm sure you've thought about it. That exact moment, when the heart stops, the last breath is taken, what happens next? The sources we're going to dive into, from the Quran and the detailed accounts of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, give us a really vivid picture of this transition, starting from the very first moments after our final breath.
So what exactly is this place, Barzakh? Well, you can think of it less like a waiting room and more like the first chapter of the afterlife. It's not a state of sleep or just nothingness. The sources are really clear on this. The soul is fully conscious and it's experiencing a whole new kind of life. It's basically a preview of what's coming, either a beautiful garden from paradise or a terrifying pit from hell.
Now, this journey into Barzakh kicks off the instant the soul leaves the body. And right away, this is where the path splits. The experience is not the same for everyone. It's really a tale of two profoundly different departures, and each one is a direct reflection of the life that was just lived.
Just try to imagine the scene. For the righteous soul, the room fills with this beautiful light as angels of mercy come down, their faces shining like the sun. They bring with them the sweet smell and soft shrouds of paradise. But for the disbelieving soul, the experience is pure terror. Angels of torment appear with these dark, grim faces, carrying a coarse, disgusting-smelling sackcloth from the fire.
And that stark difference, it continues with how the soul actually leaves the body. For the believer, it's this gentle release, flowing out as smoothly as a drop of water from a flask. But for the disbeliever, the soul clings to the body. It doesn't want to leave until it is ripped out violently. The traditions describe it as being as agonizing as a multi-pronged skewer being dragged through wet wool. Once the soul has been taken, it briefly goes up to the heavens to be presented before God, and then it's brought back down to the body for the next stage of the journey. And this brings us to the very first station of the hereafter, the grave. But this is no simple resting place. It's a chamber for some intense questioning and accountability.
So try to picture this from their perspective. The final handfuls of dirt have been thrown, the last prayers have been said, and you can hear the faint sound of your loved one's footsteps as they walk away. In that moment of total solitude, your soul is returned to your body. And now you're alone, waiting for your first and most critical examination. And here's the thing about this test. You can't cheat. There's no way to lie. Two powerful angels show up, and they ask three simple but incredibly profound questions. The answers don't come from your memory or your tongue. They come from the very essence of who you were. Your entire life becomes the answer sheet, and your deeds do all the talking.
Okay, so these are the three questions that basically determine everything in the grave. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And who is your prophet? They might seem simple, but being able to answer them correctly doesn't come from just memorizing the words. It comes from having lived a life that was in harmony with those answers.
Now for the believer, these questions are just a welcome confirmation of everything they stood for. They'll answer with total confidence. My Lord is Allah, my religion is Islam, and my prophet is Muhammad, peace be upon him. Can you just imagine the relief and the joy when a voice from the heavens declares, my servant has spoken the truth?
But for the person who lived a life of distraction, of disbelief, this moment is one of absolute confusion and terror. They'll just stammer, I don't know, I just said what everyone else was saying. It's such a tragic confession of a life lived without any real purpose or conviction. And a voice from the heavens will thunder back, he has lied.
So, the questioning is done. But the experience in the grave? Oh, that's just getting started. What happens next is a direct result of the answers they just gave. Each soul gets a glimpse of their final destination, a preview that's going to shape their entire existence in Barzakh.
I mean, you have two completely opposing realities here. For the believer, that narrow grave miraculously expands into this vast, beautiful garden filled with light and the sweet smell of paradise. But for the disbeliever, the grave becomes a prison, squeezing in with so much force that their ribs are crushed together, as a door to hell is opened, blasting them with its scorching heat and horrible stench.
And that leads to this incredible paradox. The believer, after seeing the wonders of paradise, cries out, my Lord, bring on the day of judgment. Let's go. They cannot wait to enter their eternal home. But the disbeliever, having seen the horrors of hell,
begs, "My Lord, please don't let the day of judgment come." They would do anything to delay what they now know is inevitable.
Now, something really important to understand here is that these punishments in Barzakh, they aren't random. The sources describe specific torments for specific sins, things the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, actually witnessed. For instance, the person who spread lies has their mouth torn open. The one who knew the Quran but ignored it has their head repeatedly smashed with a boulder. Those who committed adultery are burned in a fiery oven, and those who dealt with interest are forced to swim in a river of blood. Each punishment is a direct and chilling reflection of the sin. So I know this all sounds very black and white, right? Good versus evil. But what about the shades of gray? What about the believer who wasn't perfect, who messed up and committed major sins? Well, their situation is a third, more complex state in Barzakh.
For them, their fate is ultimately in God's hands. They might face a period of punishment in the grave, almost like a spiritual cleansing for their sins. And this purification, as tough as it might be, is actually a mercy. It can reduce or even completely get rid of their need for punishment on the Day of Judgment. So, while their time in Barzakh might be difficult, their faith ensures that their final destination, through the incredible mercy of God, is paradise.
Okay, so what's the point of all this for us, living and breathing right now? The takeaway is simple, but it's really profound. This life is our one and only chance to prepare. The state of our soul in Barzakh is going to be a mirror image of the state of our soul in this world. There are no do-overs.
And there's this really beautiful saying from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that just completely reframes the whole thing. It turns our preparation from an exercise in fear into an act of love. The goal isn't just to avoid punishment. It's to live a life that makes you genuinely excited to meet your Creator, because you know that He is just as excited to meet you.
And that leaves us with one last big question that we all have to face. This journey isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We all have an appointment with the angel of death. So the only real question is, what are we doing today to get ready for that meeting? What will our life's answer be when the time finally comes?